Hi everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts, and today's video is very exciting because it marks day one of my holiday card series, and I thought what better way to kick off the series than to use one of my very own stamp sets. So I will be using Candle Light Poinsettia for my 3 cards today, and then the only extra supply that I bring in is this Trinity Stamp Stitch Rectangle Slimline die, and I cut that out 3 times from craft red and blue cardstock. I'm going to be creating the same card 3 times, but I'm just going to change up the colors so that they look slightly different. So for this first card, I want it to be more of a winter icy card. So I'm going to stamp out all of the poinsettias from Candle Light Poinsettia onto these panels. And for the blue, I'm going to white heat emboss them. The red, I will gold heat emboss the flowers. And then for my last one, I'm going to stamp the flowers out with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and color them in on craft cardstock. So I realized about a quarter of the way stamping the blue one that I could also stamp the red one at the same time. I did re-ink this Versamark pad so it's very juicy, and you can leave Versamark untouched for a couple minutes and it will still remain sticky. So I knew I could do both panels at once here just to save me some time. You can also lay these out in your MISTI. That might be even faster, but I wanted these flowers to be as close together as possible. And sometimes with the MISTI, well, not sometimes, all the time, you're forced to use the border that's around the stamp. There's about ½ an inch all around, or a ¼ of an inch, that is just extra photopolymer material. So I decided to go with a block here, and right now I'm using a holly leaf from the stamp set to fill in those empty spaces, and especially around the edges of the card. I'm basically creating pattern paper here, and a rule of thumb is to stamp off the card panel, and it's going to look more natural and more like a pattern paper that way. So I like to use that holly leaf to partially stamp off the panel. So here for the blue one, I added my white embossing powder, and then for my red panel I'm sprinkling on some gold embossing powder. And this powder is by Hero Arts. It came in a previous kit and I use it for all of my gold heat embossing. It's my favorite powder, and that one little container from the kit has lasted me over a year, and I make cards for a living, so you can imagine how much gold heat embossing I do. And I still have about a quarter left, but eventually I'm going to have to pick up more. This is by far my favorite gold powder. For the rest of the embossing powders, I just used my Recollections powders from Michaels. They're also extra fine, so they're really great. I'm just heat setting these 2 panels now, and I'm making sure to hold my panels upright in the air so that the heat can pass through the paper. If I were to heat set them on my glass mat, the heat will trap underneath and cause warping. There will be warping no matter what, but it's a little bit better if you hold your panel in the air. So now I'm working on the craft panel, and because these poinsettias are black, I decided to do this panel by itself. And just doing the same thing, randomly stamping out all the poinsettias from the stamp set. Some of them I am stamping off the panel. And here I kind of fast forward through the middle part because you guys saw this twice already. And then again, I'll take that holly leaf and just fill in all of the open areas. And then I'm going to color these ones in with my Copic markers. But first, I'm going to continue with my heat embossing, and I'm going to stamp 2 of the poinsettias onto some vellum, and then I'll stamp the same 2 poinsettias on white cardstock with black ink. And these are going to be used to decorate my candle set. So now I can stamp out my candles. For my blue panel, I wanted some silver heat embossed candles, and then for my red panel, I wanted just black candles to color in. And then for the craft one, I'm going to use a word die instead. So I guess, use another extra product, and that is a Sue Wilson word die, which I will show you when we get to that card. But here I'm just adding all of my clear embossing powder to my black poinsettias, and then I'm going to add the silver embossing powder to one of my candles. And then for my vellum poinsettias, I'm going to pour white embossing powder over them. So there's lots of embossing powders on my desk and lots of heat setting, but these cards came together relatively quickly, at least the first two did, because I didn't do a whole lot of coloring. I feel like when you heat emboss, especially with gold powder, you really don't have to do much else to make it look better than it already is. But I am going to color in these two candles that I'm heat setting. And the first two cards were inspired by my mom. If you saw my product showcase video, there were two cards that looked very similar to these flat cards. I will insert pictures at the end of this video so you can see her cards, but they were by far the most well received from that video. I got a couple requests to show how those cards were created, and they were pretty simple. There was no coloring involved. It was all heat embossing like I'm showing you today, and she just paper pieced the flowers. And in her card, she actually did not even color in the candles. She left them on the white with the silver embossing, and it was beautiful. I just decided for my flat card, since it was the centerpiece, that I would add just a little bit of coloring, but in all reality, I did not have to. And so I'm just using my C markers for the candles, and then for the pine needles, I'm using the same C markers, which are C4, C2, and C1. I'm not doing much shading here. I still want everything to look pretty white. I just want a little bit of contrast there. So I did also get a lot of requests to show coloring of my new stamp sets. So there will be a designated video in the holiday card series for each of my 4 sets. This one, like I said, is Candle Light Poinsettia, and I think out of the 4, this stamp set might be the most popular. It's between this one and German Winter Village, but on all of the stamp sets, I am running down on quantities. So if you like any of the stamps that I released, and if you haven't seen them, I will have a link to my shop down below. But they are running out. So if you like them, I would recommend picking them up. And you can use code YouTube10 at checkout to receive 10% off your order. And I do have coordinating dies for all of my stamp sets. So I went ahead and ran those candles through my die cut machine along with the vellum flowers. And then I also die cut a stitched vellum oval. And that's going to help to mute those background white heat embossed flowers and to help my candles pop a little bit more. And then I wanted to silver heat emboss my sentiment onto this vellum oval. And you can see I also gold heat embossed another vellum oval, and that's going to be for my second card. Like I said, these first 2 cards are the exact same design, they're just different color schemes. So if you have a particular card design that you really like, I would recommend mass producing it and maybe just changing up the color scheme so that they don't all look the same. But I actually read that the average person sends 26 Christmas cards a year, which is shocking to me because I know there's some people that don't send any at all, like including myself. I do hand deliver my cards, but I'm really bad at mailing them. But I know some people mail like hundreds of Christmas cards a year. So if you can mass produce in any way, that's always very helpful. So yeah, I went ahead and glued the vellum poinsettias onto the candles. I made sure to only add glue to the white heat embossed areas because you can see glue through vellum. And then I glued the candles onto my vellum oval. And then I wanted to pop the oval up, so I'm going to add foam tape just behind the candles. And that's going to raise my oval up a bit. And again, that's going to help them stand out because the background is still very busy even with the vellum added on top. But I just love how icy and frosty this card looks. So that's basically going to complete the design. I will come back to it later and add some embellishments, but I'm going to go ahead and work on my second card first. And I decided to use the same copic color scheme on my craft poinsettias as well as my white poinsettias. And I am coloring them simultaneously to save time. And it's very interesting to compare the white poinsettias against the craft ones because obviously craft mutes any color you add to it. And it's also interesting because what I noticed is even though I used the same colors, it was easier to blend on the craft cardstock than it was on the white. And I don't know if that's because it's toned paper or if it's because it's a lighter weight paper so it blends easier. But I actually originally had G29, G19, and G16. But the G29 and the G19 on the craft blended, like they just merged into one color. It looked like the same color, so there was no contrast. So I had to take out G19 and add G16 as my mid-tone and G14 as my lightest color. Whereas with the white, the G19 was perfect. So with the G16, I had to blend it out a little bit more with the white. So I don't know, I just found that fascinating. But I'm not going to show you the coloring of all the poinsettias on the craft panel because I did use the same colors. I colored them the exact same way from darkest to lightest. And because I color that way, it's actually really quick. I think the craft panel maybe took 25 minutes to complete. And I'm really happy with how the coloring turned out, especially the red combination that I chose. I think I used R59, R29, and R17. And I don't know what it is about red and copics, but it's just so pretty. And am I the only one that just loves shading with red markers? I don't know what it is that I like about it so much. And it's the same with red backgrounds, like distress ink backgrounds. I just love how red shading looks, especially with a really dark red contrast. So yeah, here are the red copics that I'm using. I will have them listed out on my coordinating blog as well. But while I finish up the coloring, I want to squeeze in a couple announcements. And the first one is that I have created an affiliate program for Scrappy Tales Crafts. So if you recently purchased something and you have a social media, presence like Instagram, YouTube, you have a blog, you can share your projects and use the affiliate links to get a 10% commission off of anything that your blog or YouTube channel or whatever social media platform you use sells, which is really great. I love that I'm able to use affiliates on my videos. It's a great way to support the creator, and I knew I wanted to create an affiliate program for you guys because it's a win-win for everyone. You guys earn commission and you guys give me sales that way. So if you want to join, I will have information in the description. I also posted my design team call, so if you like the Scrappy Tales products, including the stamp set that I'm coloring in, you can apply for my design team for 2021. And I have different options. You can join as a guest designer or as a full-time designer. And if you want to know more information about how to apply, what the requirements are, what the benefits are, you can check out my coordinating blog post. I'll have it linked down below. So if you have a social media presence, you like Scrappy Tales products, please apply. I already got quite a few submissions, which I was really worried that only 5 people would apply, but I already have quite a few, and I have been enjoying reading your submissions. So yeah, I thought I would throw that out there. I might talk a little bit more about it in a longer video, but for now, you guys can just check out the blog for more information. So here I'm just creating the red panel the exact same way I did with the blue. So I layered the poinsettias on top of the candles. I layered the candles on top of the vellum oval, and then I will pop up the oval with some foam tape. Let me know which one you like more. I really like the coloring on this one, but I like the frosty look of the white one, so it's hard to choose. But both panels are complete and they need some embellishments. So for the red panel, I'm going to use some Trinity Stamp gold confetti sequins, and on the blue panel, I'm going to use pearl, like little pearls from Trinity Stamps. And because the poinsettias are kind of hidden because they're vellum, I decided to add some pearls to the centers of them. Right now they're silver rhinestones, but I end up taking them off and going with pearls instead. And the way I am laying out my sequins or pearls is in a diagonal. I don't know why I always do that. There must be something to it because it's just very pleasing to my eye at least. And I'm attaching them all down with my art glitter glue. And then those are going to basically complete my first 2 cards. I am going to add them to my card base, but again, I'm going to start with card 3 now. The word die that I'm using is by Sue Wilson. I just showed the die on screen. I'll also have it listed down below. And I cut the Joy to the World die 3 times from white cardstock and once from gold cardstock, and I'm going to layer them all together to get a dimensional word die. Instead of an oval, I went with a strip of vellum this time, and just to accent this panel, I'm going to add a skinny strip of gold glitter cardstock to the top and bottom. And I don't know why I made life difficult, because I could have just added these gold strips onto my vellum, but I decided to add them onto the craft panel for whatever reason. But I managed to line them up straight. I don't know how. And then I'm going to glue the Joy to the World in the center of the vellum strip. I decided to add some Winkostella to all of my flowers. I'm kind of tilting it in the light. You can sort of see the shimmer here. It's actually not Winkostella. That is a Winkostella pen that ran dry. I refilled it with water and added Gold Perfect pearls to it, and I'm telling you guys, I think I figured out the formulation of a Winkostella pen. I'm pretty sure it's just water and Gold Perfect pearls. So to attach the vellum, I just added glue behind the Joy to the World sentiment, and that's going to adhere, obviously, the center of the vellum, but I want to adhere it better on the sides. So I'm going to do that by first gluing some gold Trinity stamp sequins. These are the same ones that I used on my red panel. And once those are adhered, I can just add glue behind those on the vellum. And that's going to better attach the vellum completely down. So I wanted to add a gold mat behind this panel. So I wanted to conserve as much glitter as I could, so I die cut a stitched slimline rectangle from the center of this gold panel, which I trimmed to cover my entire card base, which is 3 3/4 by 8 3/4. So I attached my gold glitter frame with art glitter glue, and then I'll attach my craft panel with some ATG tape, and I just love how this card turned out. The glitter is just amazing, and the Winkostella shimmer, it's so sparkly, obviously. And for the gold embossed panel, I'm going to add a simple dark green mat behind it, and I just love how the dark green ties in with the green leaves. And if you're unsure about a card panel, just add a mat to it. I really feel like that helps to draw the eye in, and it's just really pretty. For my blue panel, I'm just going to attach it to my card base because I did like the white border on this one. And then that is going to complete my 3 cards. Let me know which one was your favorite. I do want to mention that my grandma helped me illustrate this stamp set. I did the candles, but she did all of the beautiful poinsettias. So if you do want to pick up this stamp set, I will have a link down below. And if you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell, because I will be having 24 more holiday cards coming on my channel. By the way, these are the box cards my mom created that you guys love. And those boxes were created with my new A7 pop-up box die set, so if you want to check that out, I'll also have it linked down below. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!